Hey there. We're going to go through this case today, and it's going to have a little bit of a icky feeling because, to be real honest, this is Laura DeCRESCENZO versus the Church of Scientology International. And many of you know Laura Ann, also her, aka Laura Dieckman. Many of you know her, many of you spent time with her, and in fact, I believe Nora was on the RPF with her. But we're going to start this. We're going to premise this with the allegedly, even though there is a case, the facts were not litigated at the end of the day. So we must preview this with allegedly. She was raised in New Mexico and trafficked to California at age 12, where she was in the Sea Org for 13 years. And at 16, she was married. At 17, became pregnant and was forced to abort the pregnancy. She was in the RPF for 3 years in Los Angeles from 2001 to 2004, and in 2004 she drank bleach to get kicked out. So with that, here are some of the crimes that Scientology allegedly is involved with this: child abuse, human trafficking, child trafficking, slave labor, unlawful detention, and imprisonment without due process. Here are some of the folks that were directly related to this at the time: Mike Rinder, Claire Headley, Kristen Catano, and Janet Weiland. Let's go through this article from back in 2009. The Los Angeles, a woman accuses the Church of Scientology of human trafficking, obstructing justice, employment violations, discrimination, and violation of privacy. Laura N. DeCRESCENZO says she signed her first contract with the church when she was 12 and did not escape until she had suffered 13 years of forced labor at less than minimum wage. There are two very different versions of Scientology, DeCRESCENZO, aka Laura Dieckman, says in her Superior Court complaint. There is the Scientology as presented to the outside world, and there is a different Scientology in which plaintiff lived and worked for approximately 13 years. In the Scientology world, the plaintiff experienced 12-year-old children are taken from their homes, asked to sign employment contracts, and put to work. Pregnant women are coerced to have abortions. Employees work 100-hour weeks in the business ventures of Scientology at far less than minimum wage. There are no contributions to Social Security or employee pensions, although there is plenty of money to pay Scientology's chairman of the board, private investigators, and lawyers. Personal freedoms are restricted, and severe punishments are used to keep employees in line. Passports are taken from foreign workers, and the infirm are discarded if they cannot perform. For reasons obvious to those who know the real Scientology, it fears the truth and works hard to suppress and deny it at almost any cost. That is the context of this litigation. The gist of the case is to recover past due wages, interest, other economic damages, and attorney's fees for the defendant, Church of Scientology's International CSI, many years of continuing labor and human trafficking violations. In related causes of action, plaintiff also complains that she was coerced to have an abortion, was the victim of intentional infliction of emotional distress, and that the defendant is attempting to silence other employees who were potential witnesses and co-plaintiffs in the case. Illustrative of plaintiff's experiences while working for defendant is the fact that she displayed suicidal tendencies and swallowed bleach to expedite her quest for freedom. The complaint adds, plaintiff started working for a Scientology organization in her hometown at the age of 9. She obtained a work permit and became effectively a full-time employee of Scientology from age 10. At age 12, the plaintiff first signed her contract of employment. She left school, home, and family to work for the Church of Scientology International, CSI. This required that plaintiff move to another state. She was married to a co-worker at age 16, became pregnant while still a minor, and was coerced by CSI to have an abortion at age 17. Plaintiff escaped in 2004 at age 25. For over 13 years, the plaintiff worked under illegal conditions and for illegal pay. There are hundreds, probably thousands, of past and present employees of CSI who experience similar violations of rights. However, most are ignorant of their rights under the misapprehension they had no rights or surrendered them in various documents they were required to sign, or are afraid to come forward and challenge the dark side of Scientology. The plaintiff is represented by Barry Van Zickel of Roseville. I'm going to pause there just for a second. So I pulled up the next article, and this comes from the Tampa Bay Times, and this is in 2010. And it talks a little bit more. I'm just going to kind of go through the evolution here with you. Did I lose it? Here we go. Sorry about that. So it pretty much restates what she said, but she did have a quote in here. It became like I didn't have a choice anymore. I didn't know how extensive the pressure or the coercion could be. I knew there were people who had gotten abortions, but I didn't know how much pressure there was. I hadn't seen it from firsthand at that point. And remember, firsthand at that point is she was 17 years old. So still a baby herself. So there's some other videos that they have from 2010 that corresponds with this one, Claire Headley, Sunny Pereira, this one, which is the Laura Dieckman. They reference the Headley lawsuits at this point. They also talk about other people that were telling stories. Natalie and Shelby, both are listed in here. So quite alarming. And it also talks about in her second story that the Sea Org wanted her to abort her 3-year-old also. And she said no. So pause just for a second while I've pulled up the 2011 appeal. So we've gone from 2009 to 2010. Here's 2011. And this one's going to be a longer document that I want to read through. This is the Court of Appeal, the Second District of California. So she's been in this litigation for 2 years already, and decided in 2010 there was a decision. Let me read through it and it'll make more sense. In 2011, June 24th, 2011, the decision was reversed. So this was not to be published in the official reports. Laura DeCRESCENZO appeals a judgment dismissing her complaint against the Church of Scientology International, NRTC, Religious Technology Center. After the sustaining of demurs without leave to amend based on statutes of limitation. So demurs means objections. So the Church of Scientology objected based on statute of limitations. The plaintiff contends she has adequately pled a combination of delayed discovery of her causes of action and a basis of equitable estoppel precluding defendants from asserting a statute of limitation defense, saying that there was a reason why that she wasn't able to submit it during the correct amount of time. Our review of the record compels the conclusion that the plaintiff has adequately alleged that she was unable to comprehend the wrongfulness of the defendant's conduct for a period of time, and that her cause of action did not accrue until she did so. And two, even after her delayed discovery of her causes of action, the defendant's threats and intimidation caused her to delay filing her complaint. In addition, we reject the defendant's contention that plaintiff is collaterally estopped from prosecuting her action by a federal court judgment, that equitable estoppel was inapplicable because the facts alleged in the plaintiff's prior complaint were insufficient to demonstrate reasonable reliance on defendant's representations. We hold that her allegations of additional facts in the present complaint establish a basis for reasonable reliance, and such new allegations are not precluded by the federal judgment. We therefore reverse the judgment with directions, because the Church of Scientology and RTC, against her complaint of 2009, had said that she was out of the statute of limitations, and the original judgment was that yes, she was out of her statute of limitations. They appealed in 2011. 2011, they came back with, in the appellate court, the appellate judgment was she had reason for it, so they reversed that decision. So woohoo, they're on again. The original complaint against Scientology, there were 6 causes of action: rescission, unpaid wages, discrimination, invasion of privacy, human trafficking, intentional infliction of emotional distress, and obstruction of justice. So those were the original complaints that were at the time. The first judge said, nope, your time is up. You can't litigate these. And then she appealed in 2011. So I'm not going to go through all of that. And I am going to pause while I get my other document. So let's fast forward to 2018, July 23rd, 2018. They've been going back and forth on this litigation. And finally we come up with a settlement here. And that is not correct. I apologize, you guys. I think I have way too many tabs open. The Church of Scientology and one of its former members on Monday settled a lawsuit she filed nearly a decade ago, alleging she was forced to work long hours as a preteen and was coerced to have an abortion at 17. Los Angeles Superior Court Judge Mark Mooney met privately with attorneys for the church and plaintiff, Laura Dieckman, and then announced the settlement in court. Trial was scheduled for August 13th. So this just a couple of weeks before the trial was set. John Bloomberg, an attorney for DeCRESCENZO, said terms of the deal are confidential. Attorneys for Scientology didn't immediately return calls seeking comment. The church was a defendant along with its religious technology center. DeCRESCENZO's allegations included forced abortion, false imprisonment, intentional infliction of emotional distress, unfair business practices, and wage and hour violations. Bloomberg said he didn't know why the defendant decided to settle, but actions by their lawyers in court indicated that they didn't want the case to go to trial. Plaintiff's attorneys subpoenaed Scientology leader David Miscavige, but church attorneys sought to quash orders for him to appear, Bloomberg said. Based on their actions in trying to prevent David Miscavige from testifying, it would lead one to the inescapable conclusion that preventing an order he testify was very important to them, he told the Associated Press. According to a sworn declaration by DeCRESCENZO, she began volunteering to do church work at age 6 or 7. In Orange County, she said that age 7 she was part of a Scientology group organized to picket the very civil courthouse where trial of her lawsuits would take place, according to City News Service. She claimed the demonstration showed the church's ability to go to every length to bring down people who filed lawsuits against the institution, whose followers include actors Tom Cruise and John Travolta. Always got to throw their names in there, right? I believe that if I took any action against the Church of Scientology, whether filing a lawsuit or even speaking negatively about the Church of Scientology, that I would be subjected to severe retribution, including significant financial penalties and loss of my family. When DeCRESCENZO was 12, she was recruited to join the organization's elite Sea Org, which she said is responsible for overseeing the delivery of the religion worldwide. Allegedly, she was initially required to work daily from 8:30 in the morning to 10:30 at night, and that 2 more hours were later added to her workday. She says she remained with the Sea Org until 2004 when she was 25. She says she was told she could not leave the Sea Org and was released from duty only after she pretended to attempt suicide by swallowing bleach. She alleged she became pregnant in February 1996 and was convinced by the church to abort her fetus to show her allegiance to Sea Org and its long work hours. The case was previously dismissed by another judge, but a 3-justice panel of the 2nd District Court of Appeal reversed the decision in June 2011. We just read through that. And sent it back to the judge to determine whether the church was permitted to raise the statute of limitations as a defense. The trial was scheduled to be conducted in 2 phases, beginning with the non-jury trial before Mooney to determine whether she acted reasonably in waiting so long to file her lawsuit. If he ruled in her favor, a jury would have decided any liability and damages. So, there you go, guys. The court case was settled out of court right before it was supposed to go to trial because David Miscavige was supposed to be deposed, and they did not want to see him in court. So unfortunately, okay, so this has been almost a decade worth of crap that she's been going through. The poor, poor woman. I'm sorry that she had to go through such horrible, lengthy process to get justice. It's absolutely ridiculous. But I also feel sorry for not getting on record some of these crimes. So these Scientology's crimes, David Miscavige's crimes, Mike Rinder's crimes, Marty Rathbun's crimes, Claire Headley's crimes, didn't go on record. So, allegedly, not allegedly, we have to believe. So, thank you, and we will see you on the next one.